Hi, Dr. Liz here with Conversations for Effective Living, and I just got back from a work conference. The Florida Society of Clinical Hypnosis does conferences, weekend conferences, like 2 weekend workshops twice a year, and I just went to the fall one, which was in Cocoa Beach, and it was amazing. So I went to share some of the insights that I learned from it. The presenter is Wendy Lemke, and she was amazing. It was all about what we call ego state therapy, but I'm going to translate that to you as a layperson. So our ego states are all these different selves that we have. We all have these different parts of ourselves that function. So we have the mom part, and we have the professional part, and we have the playful part. Perhaps we have the wife. Perhaps we have the sexual self. Perhaps we have the athletic self. All these different parts that function. And in most people, they function pretty well, and they integrate pretty well, and we go along about our lives. But what happens when one part stops functioning so well? And to relate a personal story around this, I was a very high achieving professional before I had my kids, and then I was going to stay home and be like the best mom, ever, right? We all have these plans to be the best mom ever. And I stopped working. When I went back to therapy several years later, I wrote on my intake form like loss of self. I never felt like myself when I was just, quote unquote, it's a very hard job, hard role, but just a stay-at-home mom. I never really felt like myself because I didn't have that professional self functioning anymore. It just sort of disappeared. I didn't go back to work part-time, any of that. So part of my work was actually finding that self again because it gave me so much pleasure and joy in life. And how was I going to integrate that into my mom self and into my wife self and into these other selves that were functioning pretty well. So that's a personal example, but you can see how that could happen in all kinds of different areas. Sometimes people come in and they have lost their work self in terms of it giving them joy and really loving their job. Like, yeah, they can go there and drudgery, but it just feels like drudgery, the self that's drudgery, versus the self that really loves what they do and feels like they're contributing and their work has meaning. Okay, so that's another example of how that happens and sometimes what people come in for. And the conference was really about how do you work with this? How do you also use hypnosis to integrate or entwine these different selves that you have? Or let's say one self really needs some work and some boost and some focus. How do you use hypnosis to do that? So it was absolutely fascinating. I absolutely loved it. I love doing this kind of work. So just wanted to share that with you. Remember, there's all kinds of free stuff over at my website, so give it a whirl over there and have a great day.